You're sitting in a witness protection safe house in Tucson, Arizona. Bland walls, cheap furniture, a government-issue phone that only calls one number. Outside, it's 104 degrees. Inside, you haven't slept in 3 days. Because you did something that nobody does and lives to talk about. You betrayed the Calabrese family. And you're still breathing. This is a story of how you got in, how deep you fell, and the one decision that either saved your life or ended everyone else's. This is not a glamour story. This is not a power fantasy. This is what it actually costs, level by level. Level 1, the favor. You're 23 years old. You work at a car wash on the south side of Chicago. $8 an hour, cash, no questions. Your manager is a guy named Sal. Sal drives a different car every week. Sal never seems to actually wash cars. Sal always has an envelope in his jacket pocket. One Tuesday afternoon, Sal pulls you aside. You know how to drive, right? You say yes. He hands you keys to a black Dodge Charger. Take this to an address on Cicero Avenue. Park it, leave the keys under the mat, walk away. He hands you $200. You don't ask what's in the car. You don't look in the trunk. You just drive. That's level 1. That's how it always starts. Not with a gun, not with a threat, with a favor. You deliver the car, walk away, nothing happens. And that $200 feels like the easiest money you've ever made. That feeling? That's the trap. Level 2. You become useful. 3 weeks later, Sal calls again. Same thing. Different car, different address. $300 this time. You do it again, then again, then again. Over the next 4 months, you make almost $6,000 in cash driving cars to addresses you've never visited twice. You stop asking questions. You stop thinking about it. You tell yourself you're just a driver. Then one night, Sal sits down next to you at a bar on Western Avenue. He introduces you to a man named Marco. Marco is in his 50s, gray suit, gold watch. He smells like cigars and cologne. He shakes your hand and holds it for a second longer than normal. Reliable is worth more than smart, you know that? You don't answer. He smiles. Good. Smart guys talk too much. That's the night you cross a line you can't uncross. Marco is not a manager. Marco is not a businessman. Marco Calabrese is the underboss of a crime family that has operated in Chicago for 40 years. And he just told you that you have value. Level 3, the real job. The car deliveries stop. Now you're doing something different. You're a runner. You pick up packages from a dry cleaner in Milwaukee Avenue. You drop them at a restaurant in Bridgeport. You pick up an envelope from the restaurant. You bring it back to Sal. Inside those envelopes, you don't know. You never open them. But the money is now $500 a trip, 3 trips a week. You move out of your apartment. You rent something better in Lincoln Square. You buy a new jacket, new shoes, a watch you have no business owning. People at the car wash notice. You stop working at the car wash. You are now, in every practical sense, employed by the Calabrese family. You just don't have a title. You don't have a contract. You don't have protection. What you have is a phone number, a schedule, and the understanding that if you miss a pickup, someone will come find you. Not to ask why, just to find you. Level 4, you meet the family. 6 months in, Sal takes you to dinner. Not a bar, a real restaurant. Private room in the back of an Italian place in the West Loop. There are 7 people at the table. You recognize Marco. The man at the head of the table is older, maybe 70. His name is never said out loud, but everyone treats him like gravity. Everything in the room bends toward him. Later you'll learn his name, Vincent Calabrese, the boss. You eat. You don't speak unless spoken to. Near the end of the meal, Marco leans over and says, Vincent wants to know if you're ready for more responsibility. You say yes before you even know what that means, because that's what you do at that table. You say yes. More responsibility means this. You're now managing 2 other runners. You're collecting directly from 3 businesses: a laundromat, a bar, a parking garage. You're reporting numbers to Marco every Friday night. You're now part of the structure. Not the top, not even close, but you have rank, and rank in this world means one thing. You know too much to leave. Level 5. The money. Year 2. You're pulling in $4,000 a week. Cash. Always cash. You have a system. You split it, hide it, deposit small amounts at different banks under different names. Sal taught you that. You eat at good restaurants. You wear good clothes. You drive a car you paid for in full. On paper, you work at a cousin's landscaping company. On paper, you make $38,000 a year. On the street, you're known as someone connected. That word, connected, it opens doors. Bartenders comp your drinks. Bouncers let you skip lines. A certain kind of person gets very friendly very fast. But here's what nobody tells you about the money. It comes with a ledger. Every dollar you take is a dollar you owe back, in loyalty, in silence, in compliance. You start to see what compliance means. There's a guy named Torres who runs a gambling operation under the family's protection. One month, Torres is short on his payment. Sal sends you with 2 other men to visit Torres. You don't hurt Torres. You just stand there. But Torres looks at you and the 2 men and turns white. He pays. You drive back in silence. You stare out the window. You were just the threat. You were the silence in the room. And you got paid for it. That's the moment something shifts inside you. You don't feel good, but you don't stop either. Level 6. Things you can't unsee. Year 2, month 9. There's a man named Petrov. He's not family. He's a middleman who's been skimming from a deal between the Calabreses and a crew operating out of Bridgeport. You know none of this on a Thursday evening when Marco calls and asks you to drive him to a warehouse in Cicero. Just driving, that's all. You drive. You wait outside. You scroll your phone. 40 minutes later, Marco comes out alone. He gets in the car. Drive, he says. You drive. You don't ask about Petrov. You never see Petrov again. And that night, lying in your apartment in Lincoln Square, you realize something with total cold clarity. You are not a runner anymore. You are not a driver. You are a witness. And witnesses in this world have a very specific, very short shelf life. Level 7. Power and Paranoia. Year 3. You are Marco's right hand. You sit in meetings you shouldn't be in. You hear names you shouldn't know. You know where money is moved, stored, laundered. You know about 3 corrupt aldermen. You know about a sitting judge who owes the family a favor. You know about a deal involving a port in Baltimore. You have never felt more powerful in your life. You also sleep with a knife under your pillow. You check your car before you get in. You sit facing the door in every restaurant. You never take the same route twice. Because you've watched 3 men disappear in the last year. One was stealing. One was talking to the wrong people. One, as far as anyone could tell, did nothing at all. He was just there when Vincent got paranoid. And Vincent gets paranoid sometimes. Marco tells you this like it's weather. Old man gets nervous, you stay invisible. You understand? You understand. But the paranoia starts spreading because you start to realize you know too much. And men who know too much in this world don't retire. They disappear. Level 8. The Conversation. Year 3, month 4. A man approaches you in a coffee shop near your apartment. Plain clothes, no badge. He sits down across from you without asking. He slides a folder across a table. Inside are photographs. You at the restaurant. You outside the warehouse in Cicero. You and Marco at a meeting in a hotel in Rosemont. The man says one sentence. We've been watching you for 14 months. You close the folder. You push it back. You stand up. The man says, Petrov's family wants to know what happened to him. We want to know what happened to him. You were there that night. You leave the coffee shop, you walk 4 blocks, you go into a pharmacy, you buy antacids. Your hands are shaking. You go home. You sit on the edge of your bed, and you think about three things. One, if you go back to Marco and tell him a federal agent approached you, Marco will get nervous, and nervous Marco is dangerous. Two, if you do nothing, the agents keep watching. Eventually, they come back harder. Eventually, they charge you with something. Three, if you actually talk, you are a dead man unless they can guarantee your safety 24 hours a day for the rest of your life. You sit there for 6 hours. The city goes dark outside your window. Level 9. The decision. You call the number on the card the agent left on the table. You say 5 words. I want to talk. Carefully. What follows is not like the movies. There are no dramatic negotiations in a glass office building. There are no lawyers in expensive suits. There are 3 meetings in 3 different locations. A car, a motel outside Joliet, a federal building through a service entrance. They want names. They want dates. They want the warehouse. In exchange, they offer you immunity for everything below a certain threshold. Witness protection, a new identity, relocation. You ask about your family, your mother, your younger brother in Pilsen. They say they can help. They say the word help very carefully, like it means something slightly different than you think it does. You sign the agreement on a Tuesday morning in a room with no windows. The moment the pen leaves the paper, your name is dead. The person you were for the last 3 years, the runner, the collector, the man Marco trusted, he's gone. What's left is someone who has to live with every single choice he made. The trial lasts 9 days. You sit in a room with bulletproof glass in the ceiling and U.S. Marshals at both doors. Marco is at the defense table. He doesn't look at you for the first 3 days. On the 4th day, he looks at you for a long time. He doesn't look angry. He looks like a father who's been disappointed. That look is harder to sit with than anger. You say everything you know. Every name, every date, every location. The warehouse in Cicero, Petrov, the alderman, the judge, the port in Baltimore. You say it all into a microphone in a calm voice because the prosecutors told you that composure builds credibility. On the last day, Marco's lawyer asks you one question on cross-examination. You did all of this willingly. You took the money. You made the choices. Is that correct? You say yes, because it's true. Level 3. The cost. Marco gets 22 years. Vincent Calabrese gets 31. Sal gets 12. The aldermen cut deals of their own. The judge resigns. 3 people cooperated and were never publicly identified. One person, a man named Dennis who ran collections in the 26th ward, was found in the Chicago River 11 days after the arrests. He was not you, but he could have been. You are given a name that isn't yours, an apartment in a city you've never visited, a contact number that works once a month. They get you a job at a logistics company, entry level, $41,000 a year. You think about the $4,000 a week. You think about the watch. You think about walking into rooms and being recognized. Now you are invisible, but you chose it. You remind yourself you chose it. Level 12. Survival. 18 months later. Tucson, Arizona. It's 104 degrees. You work at the logistics company. You don't know anyone. You don't want to. You don't drive black Chargers. You don't pick up packages. You don't sit in back rooms of restaurants. You eat lunch alone. You go home. You watch television. You sleep. Sometimes you dream about the warehouse in Cicero. Sometimes you dream about Marco's face at that trial. Sometimes you dream about Dennis. But you wake up. Every morning, you wake up. And that is the thing that nobody tells you about betraying the Mafia. It doesn't feel like victory. It doesn't feel like escape. It feels like a door that closed behind you. And on the other side of that door is everyone you were, everything you did, every dollar you took, and every choice you made. And that door doesn't open again. You are alive. You are safe, probably. and you will spend the rest of your life paying a price that never fully clears. Final level, the truth. Here's the thing about the story you just lived through. Every single level had an exit. Level 1, you could have handed back the $200. Level 2, you could have stopped answering Sal's calls. Level 4, you could have said no at that dinner table. Every level was a door. You walked through every single one, not because you were forced, not because you had no choice, because the money was real and the danger felt abstract, until it wasn't. That's not a mafia story. That's a human story. And the reason you're watching this, the reason this felt real, is because the mechanism is the same everywhere. Small favors, incremental trust, money that feels like freedom but works like a chain. The question isn't whether you'd survive betraying the mafia. The question is whether you'd recognize the moment, the exact moment, when the door was still open, and whether you'd have walked back through it.